wanted to talk to you guys today about Palworld, what it means to the industry, and you guys' creativity. So, Palworld is basically the ultimate love child between Fortnite, Pokemon, Minecraft, Tears of the Kingdom, Genshin Impact, and put that all together into a Unreal Engine 4 celeb bubble. And from what I see in the game, it looks really colorful, looks really nice, it looks really tight. Although, like I said, the shooting mechanics kind of look Fortnite-ish, although they have a good amount of motion in it and everything. It doesn't really look like a game I would get too into myself, but I'd play it, right? I say that to say this. I would rather play Palworld than I would playing, is it called Pokemon Scarlet and Violet now? I think it's called Scarlet and Violet. Whatever, right? And why do I say this? Is, well, for one has great graphics and great fluid gameplay that's all real time and it's great motion, and it also looks like you're battling. It looks really intense and it looks like, like there's some flavor and some life in it. But with Pokemon, it's still turn-based, and it's still not even like turn-based the way Final Fantasy has been fixing their turn-based system and everything. It's still like one-to-one, like you say something, they do something, you do something. And like Palworld is essentially, they essentially made a game that Pokemon is supposed to be at this point, right? Because I know for me, I haven't really played a Pokemon game since Ruby and Sapphire, and the reason for that is, one, that was the best generation, and for two, after that game, I've seen the rest of the games come out as I've grown up, and I've always thought to myself, it looks different graphically, but this looks like the same. It plays the same thing over and over and over again. You're just seeing sprites on a screen running in these towns and having the same battle system, and nothing is like added to really make it feel different, and making Pokemon turn into giants as versions of themselves doesn't count. I really feel like what Pokemon, what they have with Pokemon Ericus or whatever, that's the direction they totally should have taken, because whatever they did with Scarlet and Violet, they basically dropped the ball. And what this means for the industry is that you guys are kind of in the situation that the music industry is in. And I'll explain it like this. First of all, the industry got all the money, they got all the power, so it's not like a bunch of indie people are going to cause an uprising and take it over. Because with music, as you know, the music industry still has a lot of money. They still have a lot of influence. You're still going to hear Doja Cat on the radio all day should you be unfortunate to turn that on and everything like that, right? But at the same time, though, the music industry is suffering a lot when it comes to creativity, because we're now in a situation where, because people know that you don't need a music contract to make music anymore, to get your music out there, we have a lot of artists who are recording for their basements, recording in their bedrooms and everything, especially with producers.
Talking about Slick Rick. I'm not talking no bitch, but you can get hit, bitch. And yeah,
cut the shit off, bro.
I gotta
cut the shit the fuck off.
If you know how to actually function with DAWs, you can make whole albums in your bedroom, and you can master them too. You know how to play music and music theory. You can lay things down on the piano. You can make whole kind of compositions. Dudes can sell beats, but not just sell beats. You can sell sample packs. You can sell courses teaching people how to do this. You can make when it comes to music now, this is the time to do it on your own, and that's how it always should have been. Because when you are making music and making, I don't want to say crafts because it's witchcraft, but you're making your product, that's your business, that's your profession. Exactly, that's your profession. So you need to be in control of what you're creating and what you're doing for the most part. The industries should have always just been a conduit to help you maximize yourself, but instead they went with greed, and they basically take your talents, bleed them out of you, and then leave you to the wayside. And then they try to take your publishing and take everything you made and make sure you can't use it. And since they got the best of what you had, you basically left trying to scourge up something else. And that's besides the point. Basically, it's effective now to make music on your own. We're going to start seeing that now with games, thanks to Palworld, because now we're in an era where a small crew of people, or even a single person, can make a smash hit game. Right, like what's it called, Battle Bit? It's that one thing that looks like Call of Duty with block. That was made by like 5 or some people, right? Not that many people. One of the most popular games online out there, right? And we're going to see this more and more, because the thing with these AAA gaming studios is they're so greedy that they're getting lethargic and lazy. But that's also because they're just taking advantage of sucking dry a consumer base that I guess really isn't that intelligent, or at least spiritually intelligent, because they keep purchasing, like 2K, Call of Duty, everything Ubisoft touches, half of Bethesda's portfolio. I'm just praying Elder Scrolls 6 is better than Starfield, because oh man, if they get Elder Scrolls 6 wrong, then just set the whole gaming community on fire. But they're getting really complacent. What's it called? Game Freak? Or the Pokemon Company, whatever it's called now, they are the biggest criminal of it, because like I said before, I feel like all the Pokemons are kind of the same. And to me, when I would play something like Pokemon Coliseum or Pokemon Stadium, that would actually touch me more than the pocket games, because I know it's called Pocket Monsters, so they kind of want to make their games centered around taking them with you. When it came to the console games, I always liked those more, because I like seeing the Pokemon in 3D. I like seeing them have actual animations. I like seeing the attack animations. It was so much more vibrant. It was so much more colorful, So the character designs, they also made them remarkably different than they did in the main game and everything like that. So it felt great to play those, because even as a kid, sometimes I would play the games on, Sapphire or Ruby, and I would think to myself, I would have liked to actually see how this looks. I kind of have to imagine a bit too much, but the gameplay for the time was still really good, and seeing the third generation of Pokemon felt pretty fresh. But I think for me, the defining Pokemon game actually is Pokken Tournament. Because you see, when you're playing Pokken Tournament, you're actually playing with the Pokemon, and you're actually playing in battle. And it looks more reminiscent of what you would see in the movies, where they pull out all the stops. Think about Lugia versus the legendary bird trio, or Entei and the Unknown, Mew versus Mewtwo, Suicune and his forest. If you notice, when they're actually in the canon realm, the attacks are constant. It's back and forth. Their dodges and their sometimes there aren't even called out attacks. They're literally beating each other up, right? It's literally actual attacks. No, hey Charizard, give him a flamethrower, or energy beam. It's no, hands, feet, stab, shoot, choke, twist, bop it, beat it. It's they really getting down. And when you play Pokken Tournament, to me, that's what it actually feels like to play with the actual Pokemon. And again, that'd probably be a bit too jarring to change the gameplay too, but I feel like Pokemon at this point, they need to kind of step away from just making it solely turn-based, because or at least give you some control of the Pokemon and do something like what Final Fantasy is doing. For example, imagine you can control the Pokemon and you're playing, and someone gives you a stat attack that makes you slower. Now all of a sudden, you really get to feel what it feels like when your Pokemon slows down, and you get to feel the frustration that brings. And let's say they're attacking, but because you're so high in level and it's a level 1, you could just dodge all the attacks. Your dodges are really quick, and you feel more of an impact from what you're playing. I think with Pokemon, the biggest issue is because of the game style that they don't want to let go. It's not giving people impact. People aren't really feeling like they're playing something epic, which if you think about it, every Pokemon kind of is a game that's supposed to be epic. You're basically saving the world in every single story. And a lot of these Pokemon, the legendary Pokemon, these things are basically the gods of the Pokemon world. They cause earthquakes, they create islands, they come from different dimensions, they eat your dreams in their sleep. At some point, they even met the god of Pokemon, right? So these things are epics. and the gameplay just doesn't feel epic anymore, and that's what people want. So when you have a game like Palworld where you're shooting at these things, beating them up, but you're seeing all these explosions everywhere, and then your Pokemon or your pals are flying, and you can pick up your pals and attack things with them, or you can ride your pals and you can go here and there and everything. It gives people a sense of impact that the Pokemon company is not giving the consumers, and that's why the industry is doing what they can to speak bad things about Palworld, because they know that other people can make games off the theme of what they do with the monsters, right? And they can make it better. And for right now, they're lucky that they essentially have the brand appeal, because people are fans of the genre and they're gonna probably stick to it for now, though, because here's another thing that people don't really think about when it comes to Pokemon. Pokemon's been so famous for so long and made so much money, even more than ever, I guess, with Scarlet and Violet, right? But eventually, my generation is gonna get, because my generation is the penultimate Pokemon generation, and then you got the generation right under me that, you know, grew up with X and Y and all this stuff, and I guess the generation a little under them, you know, the Switch generation that gets to play with Pokemon Switch games. But I would say, you know, at the same time, my youngest brother's generation, who I guess they'll call him Alpha, whatever it is, they like Roblox a lot, though. I see him playing Roblox. I see these kids playing Fortnite. I see these kids playing what is it, Roblox, Fortnite, and Minecraft and stuff. They do like Pokemon to a certain extent, but they're nothing like when I like Pokemon. You know, like, you know, back in my day, we'd have the cards, we'd have the toys, we'd have the games, we'd have at least some kind of Pokemon backpack or Pokemon, you know, pajamas or something like that. We probably had a plushie, you know, like we had the whole nines back in my day. I don't see a lot of kids trending towards that. And for my daughter's generation, because my daughter is a couple months old, I don't see them looking at Pokemon the same way we do.
Grow your old ass up, nigga.
So for now, they're going to enjoy the spoils. But I say right when my youngest brother's generation starts to grow up, and he'll be 18 in like 8 or 7 years, right? The way they keep releasing these Pokemon and not making them feel special, because there's so many damn Pokemon. You got trash Pokemon, and the Palworld Pokemon look like they can pass for Pokemon, not just because they're similar, but have you seen the Pokemon designs lately? They're just kind of a smorgasbord now. They just, you know, there used to be a time where almost every single Pokemon design, you could be like, that's a Pokemon, right? Because they were kind of new and fresh, and even up to the 4th, 5th generation, you know. But now we're at the point, there's so many Pokemon, it's like, I don't even think kids are going to realize what they're looking at in the future. And because they keep releasing so many Pokemon, the iconic designs won't stick. They won't stick, right? Of course, people, like, think about Generation 1. A lot of those Pokemon, people don't know Pokemon, but they know them when they see them. Of course, you know Pikachu, but people know Charizard and Charmander and Squirtle, and they know Snorlax, right? They know Mew and Mewtwo when they see them. Like, even if they don't know the names, they can look and be like, oh yeah, you know, my abuelo, not my abuelo, my mijo, you know, he played with them all the time when he was in 5th grade, you know. So like, it makes people remember. It rings a bell. But look at the legendaries that they got for Scarlet and Violet. I mean, how much those designs are lame. Let's be real. You know, I'm used to legendary Pokemon that rip open portals and can damn near destroy the world, right? Like Groudon, one of my favorites. Man, just makes all the seas disappear. Do you know how terrifying that is? That is scary, you know? Freaking Gertantia, or how you pronounce it. I mean, he's a dream eater. And then you got a lizard with a wheel on his chest. If that doesn't screen creative bankrupt to me, I don't know what you're thinking. Now the other one, the blue one, he does look kind of cool. I think he can fly and everything like that. It's a decent design, but then I think to myself though, what really is the legendariness behind it? Even like with Sword and Shield, right? The doggo concept with a shield on his chest and one that's carrying around a sword. It's just kind of like, I don't feel like these things are powerful enough to destroy the world. That's how almost every Pokemon legendary has been. And when you look at Palworld and see how that game plays, a lot of those Pokemon, you know, again, because you feel the impact when you're playing, because they actually attack you, you have health, it feels like they can really mess some stuff up. It feels like there's something to be gained and there's something to risk, you know, because you're actually hunting, trying to collect these things. We don't get that from Pokemon anymore. And we're not getting that from the industry. The industry is losing its impact on us because they don't want to spend what it costs to be creative. So they don't want to spend what it costs, because it costs to be creative. It costs time, not just money. It costs time just to think of this stuff, you know, before anything gets spent. You know, there's a lot of brainstorming of designs, sound designs, visual designs, storyboards, and you know, the industry, everything with them is conflated with you know, whatchamacallits, schedules, scheduling, bankrolls, and taxes. For us creatives, when we make our magnum opuses, we have all the time in the world, because no one really knows it exists. So there is no time limit for us. We just get it done when it gets done, you know, because even though I heard about Palworld, there's a lot of people that haven't heard about Palworld, and that's one of the reasons why it's so popular, because a lot of people are like, Pal, what? And then they see it for the first time, they're like, sold. It didn't matter how long it took them to make it. Once it got released, that was it. That's all that mattered and all that cared. And if they do what they need to do, and they properly support this game, and they support the people that play it, and they take their money and reinvest it, if they make a Palworld 2 in the future that could be bigger and better, oh man, it's game on. This is something that the Pokemon company is going to have to reel in, because for now they've got the juice and people are still going to like the games, you know, because again, my generation now is starting to we're going to be in the place of the Gen Xer in our middle ages, and I mean, with this economy, we're not getting paid the way we should, but there's still a lot of us that are coming into, you know, their bags right now, and this is going to be where we spend the most money. And honestly, you think about it, well, how bad this economy is, we're going to be doing a lot of reminiscing, having a lot of nostalgia for our childhoods. So it's probably going to make Pokemon as popular as it's ever going to get. But then once we start getting to the boomer age,
Grow your old ass up, nigga.
and then we start, you know, dying out, well, Pokemon is probably going to be here, but how strong is it going to be? You know, like, how strong is it going to be when my daughter grows up? Because they're going to grow up in a world without, like, an evolving Pokemon, because for the most part, Pokemon came at the perfect time for Nintendo, when they had the Game Boy Color, and then a Game Boy, well, it was the Game Boy first, then they gave way to Game Boy Color, then it gave way to Game Boy Advance, then Advance SP, then Micro or DS, and then DS Lite, the 3DS, and then, you know, we had the Nintendo Switch. They've been able to really kind of stick with their Pocket Monster theme basically ever since inception, from the first Game Boy console. Or, well, they were on the first Game Boy. They were on, like, I guess the Game Boy Color. I guess it was Game Boy Color. Yeah, it was Game Boy Color. But, you know, almost a whole entire life cycle of Nintendo's handhelds. But now that's going to start slowing down, because again, since this, now they're going into handheld home consoles, which I think is truly the future of the console market. So PlayStation 5 really needs to, like, I really don't even think there needs to be a PlayStation 6. I really just think they need to figure out how to put a PlayStation 4 on the portal and make it portable somewhere that you could take everywhere. And when you do make a PlayStation 6, it has to be a hybrid. But that's just me getting up. You know, we're not going to see that kind of that leap to leap in technology, which is also going to kind of expose how we've been playing mostly the same game for years and years and years. But anyways, in closing, I kind of want this whole situation to remind you guys that when it comes to creativity, it cannot be beat. People can say that they copy the styles of Pokemon all they want, and I mean, to be fair, the game looks like a mix of other games, but I mean, you gotta think about it. Most of the ideas you have been done already. The thing that makes what you do original is how are you gonna go about it? You know, and these guys, they went out there and they did what Pokemon didn't. You know, they did what Nintendo don't. They literally did what Nintendo don't. And they gave us the kind of experience of, I guess, monster collecting. It's not monster hunting because you're not killing all. I mean, you can though. You can hunt them, which I mean, you see. But yeah, they're monster collecting that people have been waiting for a long time, and the floodgates are now open. Because what I think a lot of developers should learn from this is that we can have a renaissance of the monsters era. I definitely think Digimon, whoever's behind Digimon, they gotta look at Palworld and think to themselves. Because in my personal opinion, if there was a Digimon game that came out kind of like Palworld, I'd get that. Because I always personally like Digimon more than I like Pokemon, just because of the seriousness. I always found the designs cooler. I always found the whole aura of it cooler. I always found the monsters cooler. Everything was so much more cooler with Digimon with me. So if they made a Digimon thing kind of like Palworld, I mean, that's it. I'm taking that. I hope these industries really understand that their time is numbered on this earth, because what you're going to have with this economy, like I said earlier, people are not going to be able to afford the industry anymore. We are going to have to rely on our fellow brothers and sisters for our products. I know for me, I do like myself the occasional AAA. When I see people, do playthroughs on Steam and everything, I get kind of jealous, because I be like, damn, they look like they're playing a fun game. And a lot of these indie games, man, they're really good. They're really cool. And we need to keep supporting the indie game market, because what we need indie games to get to that point where they do truly rival AAA games. And what that is going to do is you're going to have the AAA studios that are just going to keep milking things like Call of Duty and Ubisoft. And then you're going to have the ones that are like, okay, well, we're going to lay the hammer down, which I personally think is from Sony. I know a lot of people keep saying Sony is basically HBO Max video games, but I mean, let's be fair, they have good games though. They may be a bit formulaic, but God of War, decent game. Horizon, it's a pretty decent game. What other one? Spider-Man. Also, a lot of these games have too many combos for me too, but I mean, when I look at videos of Spider-Man, I almost want to get that game literally just to swing around the place. And that's good gameplay. That's what good gameplay does to you. It makes you want to play the game. We gotta support these indie game makers. We gotta support these small dev makers, because the way it looks, they're gonna be the only ones that are gonna make any games we want. And because they have such low overhead, they don't have to charge as much for the games. I don't know if you heard, but even Sony's talking about making their games $100. They're talking the games is coming out at $70. They want to make the games $100. And in my personal opinion, there are some games that should cost $70. Grand Theft Auto 6 should cost $70. That's not the kind of product that you can make without crazy amounts of money being put in. And honestly, it's going to be a product unlike many other products in entertainment, right? It's definitely going to be one of those games. But then games like Pokemon, that should be $25, because they haven't been doing the same thing. They have artificial demand because people are crazy and kind of stupid, honestly. But the supply of the product is extremely high. It's nothing we haven't had before. With Grand Theft Auto, we don't have games like Grand Theft Auto often. I mean, it's been over a decade since Grand Theft Auto 5. You know what that means, right? The supply of Grand Theft Auto was low. Hey, $70 for the next Grand Theft Auto has been. A lot of us have had kids. I remember getting Grand Theft Auto 5 when it came out. In college. I have a kid now. $70 doesn't really seem like much for 10 years away. But with Pokemon, they come out with a Pokemon every other year with the same kind of gameplay. And I don't know how much Palworld costs, but it probably doesn't cost like a crazy amount of money. So now I'm ranting a little bit of semantics and everything here, but I hope you guys have a great day, and let's get creating now here. All right, see ya.